mentioned before the Rogachover. I heard a good word. Someone once came to the Rogachover, and he used to bother him. He used to come like every day with silly questions. So the Rogachover asked him, "Tell me, when someone hits the horse and the horse runs, is the horse running because he wants to escape the driver, or is he running because he understands that when he gets whipped, he needs to run?" So the guy tells the Rogachover, "I don't know. I was never a wagon driver." So the Rogachover tells him, "I wasn't asking you as a wagon driver." Anyway, there were two Chassidim once, Melech and his brother Zusha, who were traveling, and they, whatever, for some reason in Russia, they got put in jail, and they ended up in jail. And they woke up and they wanted to daven, and they couldn't daven. Why couldn't they daven? Because there was in the middle of the room something that doesn't allow you to daven. That's improper. So Elimelech was very sad, very upset. He started crying. So Zusha asked him, "Why are you so upset?" So he said, "Because I can't daven, can't pray." So Zusha told him, why do we daven? Why do we pray? Because God said so, right? So the same God that told you to daven every day, to pray every day, tells you now not to pray. So if the whole point of praying is to connect to God, right now you're connecting to God through not praying. So Elimelech got all excited, so he started dancing with Zusha. And sure enough, everybody joined and they all started dancing around this thing. And so the guard asked one of the Russians there, "Why are you guys dancing?" He's like, "I don't know, something to do with that thing in the middle." So the Russian guard came and he took the thing away, and eventually they were able to daven. So why am I saying this story? Because it's important to know why we learn halachas, why we keep halachas and mitzvahs. In Smicha things get very technical. I don't know, for those who learn Smicha, I don't have to be an example, but sometimes it just drives you crazy, the technicality of halachas that, one might never even encounter. And why? Why learn them? What's so important? So, we have to understand that halachas and mitzvahs have no value, no importance in themselves, other than the fact that they connect you to God. In other words, God has a phone number, let's say, a regular 10-digit phone number. Is that holy? Is there anything to it? There's nothing to it other than the fact that this is God's number. So therefore, if this is God's number, that becomes something very special, very holy, and you have to know every single number, right? Imagine, when I call home in Uruguay, I have to dial 14 numbers. If I get one number wrong, I'm talking to someone else. Same happens with an email. You all write emails, you can write a whole email address, you forgot the dot before they come, and the email didn't go through. What's a dot? It's 1 pixel. Exactly, but if that's the guy's address, you have to know every single one of them. Every single letter, So that's the importance of the halachas and the mitzvahs. And that's why we learn them, that's what we just spent the whole year doing, and hopefully we'll keep them the rest of our lives. There was a chassid, Hillel Parichik, there was a chassid of Alter Rebbe, and he had a lot of hidurim. I said hidurim. A lot of stringencies. Sorry, English is my second language. He had a lot of hidurim, he would do mitzvahs. For example, before he passed away, like at the end of his days, he wanted to do Kiddush Levana, and he wanted to sanctify the moon, and there was no moon. There was a moon, but it was covered. And he said that he will give away all his chassidus that he learned throughout his whole life, and everything, just to be able to do one last sanctifying of the moon. He also had a kvart. He used to wash his hands. It has 6 handles. Most of us use a towel, and it's good enough. But he wanted to have 6 handles in his kvart, in his jar, to wash his hands. In other words, he was into halachas and stuff like that. So people asked him, "Reb Hillel, why are you so, So he said that every single hidur that I have and every single stringency that he had was in order to versteht avort elikus besser, was in order to understand a little bit better godliness. So again, we see that the mitzvahs and the sidurim, the whole point of them were in order to connect him to God. It wasn't like an end in itself. It was a means to an end, which was the connection to Hashem, and that's why he was so careful with it. The Friedrich Rebbe says that we have to do the mishpatim like the chukim, and the chukim like the mishpatim. What does that mean? The chukim, which are the mitzvahs that we don't understand, we have to do it with the simplicity, just like we do mitzvahs that we do understand. And the mishpatim have to be like the chukim. What does that mean? That mitzvahs that are very simple, like honoring the parents, for example. We shouldn't do it because it makes sense, but we should do it because God says so. Because again, the whole point of mitzvahs and halachas is to connect us to God. So that brings me to the second point, which is that not only do we have to keep the mitzvahs because they connect us to God, but we also have to understand and remember why we're doing the mitzvahs. In other words, we shouldn't forget about the giver of the Torah. We all know that the Beis HaMikdash was destroyed because they didn't say Birchas HaTorah. They didn't say the prayers of learning Torah before they learned. In other words, they learned. They learned Torah, which is a mitzvah, which is a very good thing, but they forgot who gave them the Torah. I want to finish with a story, since Parshas Korach, the story has to do with Korach. Once there was this chassid, who wasn't a Chabad chassid, who was very close to the Rebbe. And he invited the Rebbe to his son's bar mitzvah. Obviously the Rebbe didn't go. The Rebbe sent Rabbi Krinsky, one of his secretaries, to represent him. And Rabbi Krinsky went, and with him he took the Rebbe's letter, bar mitzvah letter. What does the bar mitzvah letter say? Amongst the things, it says, you should be a chassid or shemayim melamdin. So he read it. After he finished reading it, one of the guys from the bar mitzvah came over to him, one of the rabbis there, and told him, you know, if you start saying that he should be a Yer Shamayim, that he should be a God-fearing Jew, okay, I understand. You say that he should be a lamdan, that he should be a studious person, I get it. But why start saying that he should be a chassid? Okay, he's 13 years old, tell him he should learn, he should do mitzvahs, yeah? So, Rabbi Krinsky answered him and told him like this. You know Korach? He said, yeah. What was Korach's problem? Korach was a Yer Shamayim. He was. I mean, he believed in God. He behaved. He was a lamdan. He was a great lamdan. He knew a lot of Torah. So why is Korach still crying, 6 feet under? What happened? Why did the earth swallow him? Because he didn't believe in Moshe. He didn't believe in Moshe Rabbeinu. He didn't believe in the leader of the Jewish people. He wasn't a chassid, in simple words. And that's what happened to him. So Rabbi Krinsky came back, and he told the Rebbe the story. And he said that the Rebbe was very happy. The Rebbe smiled when he heard of his whole word about Korach. In other words, we have to do mitzvahs, and we go mitzvahim, but we shouldn't, God forbid, end up like Korach. We should know about the Mishaleach and the Neshnat Torah, and that's also very important when we do mitzvahs. So I wanted to thank, first of all, I want to thank God for everything. And I want to thank Rabbi Shmukler for everything also. Not as much as God. The Rebbe says that the Rambam doesn't have any haskamas, right? So the Rebbe asks, why doesn't the Rambam have any haskamas? It doesn't make sense. He should have somebody. The Rebbe says, who's the Rambam's haskama? The Ravid. The Ravid always argued with the Rambam. So why is the Ravid the Rambam's haskama? So the Rebbe says the Ravid agreed with everything except where he told him he didn't agree with him. So that means that wherever he wasn't disagreeing with him, he agreed with him. So the Ravid was the Rambam's haskama. So many times when people just come with complaints, that means that everything else is good. And when they're complaining, that's only not good, but everything else is good. And many times, I'm sure you might feel you don't get enough. Bachim don't like to recognize when things go good, but that's good, because when they complain, that means that only that thing is bad. Anyway, thank you very much for everything. And also Rabbi Shochat and Rabbi Spalter and the whole staff of the Gashmis part of the Yeshiva, which is superb. And my parents, last but not least, for the whole Yeshiva and this year especially. And you for listening. Shkoyach.